As religion struggles to stay afloat in many parts of the West, a rising tide of devotion is surging through the Islamic world. Many Muslims are coping with modern life by turning to the age-old certainties of their faith. But once they turn to religion, they have to ask themselves a question as old as Islam itself. Who decides what it means to be a good Muslim in the modern world?
Allahu Akbar, Allah.
Islam's never had a pope or a priesthood, but it's always had its wise men, the scholars. Their job is to translate the Quran and the way of the Prophet into rules that Muslims can live by. But that's not so easy when life keeps changing. Take one example from the past. Coffee wasn't around in the Prophet's time, but by the 16th century it was all the rage in Arab cities. And it left the scholars deeply divided. They just couldn't agree whether this strange new brew was haram or halal, forbidden or allowed. Things got so bitter that rival mobs were fighting pitched battles around the coffee houses of Cairo. But eventually the coffee fans won out because they were able to show that popular will was behind them. They were able to invoke what would become a key principle of Islamic law, consensus. To paraphrase the Prophet, if the community agreed on something, it couldn't be wrong. 6 centuries later, finding consensus in a global community of 1.3 billion Muslims is proving impossible.
There is no Muslim Pope. There is no Muslim Vatican. If somebody has a loud enough voice, someone like bin Laden for that matter, then they can very easily set themselves up as a spokesperson for Islam.
When I see young women walking in the cities of Europe and they are half naked, they have a lot of tattoos on their bodies, and I ask myself, do they really choose this way of life? Are they really aware of what they are doing? Do they really think that this is freedom?
How do I justify it? I don't, and I don't have to justify myself and my existence to anybody.
Those struggling to reform Islam are locked in a battle with those who want to revive its core values. And what's at stake here is far more than a set of beliefs. This conflict will shape the future of more than 1 billion people and each and every society they live in.
You must be looking forward to getting into your new offices.
Yeah, definitely. It's much more advanced.
Islam Online is the biggest Muslim website in the world. The staff at its Cairo head office are drawn from all corners of the globe. Islam Online may be all multinational and modern, but it's designed to keep Muslims rooted in tradition. And one of its most effective tools is the cyber fatwa. The word fatwa may be sinister to some in the West, but it's simply a scholar's opinion on any given subject.
This is not actually only the fatwa section, but it is a shara'i section that incorporates fatwas and other shara'i related issues. Shara'i is, comes from the sharia, the Islamic law.
Every day, Islam Online receives hundreds of requests for fatwas from around the world. And there's no limit to the subjects the online scholars have to cope with.
We have 3,425 fatwas here.
And they're very detailed, aren't they?
Yes, yes.
Valid reasons for divorce, marriage and divorce to obtain a green card.
Yeah.
Wow, these are really our 21st century problems. This is incredible. So we have different questions. Does Islam accept women's curses?
Yeah. Clipping fingernails.
Clipping fingernails. What's amazing is you have people asking questions on everything from fundamental issues about their relationships with their husband or wife, to clipping fingernails, to a whole range of subjects.
Yeah, we answer all questions we receive,
I think this reflects the fact that Islam is a way of life, incorporates everything, even regarding your fingernails, even regarding your personal matters. It has to be conducted in the good, healthy way which Islam states and asks us to follow.
But isn't it very difficult, I suppose, to say what is Islamic in the 21st century on many things that didn't exist back in the Prophet's day? That must be a real difficulty, updating the message.
And this presents a challenge to the scholars, that they have to study more about Islam and about how Islam should deal with all those circumstances wherever they are. And this is how Islam adapts, and this is how Muslim scholars are trying also to adapt, and they should.
Islam Online is an electronic pulpit used by the scholars of the Muslim establishment to maintain order and control at a time of great change. The website's spiritual mentor is Yusuf al-Qaradawi, perhaps the most influential conservative scholar in Islam today. His influence stretches all the way to Dublin's Islamic Centre, which is headquarters for his European Council for Fatwa and Research. But that doesn't mean he's the only voice that Irish Muslims are listening to, as we discovered when we met Khalil Al-Qadoul.
Hi Kieran, how you doing? Hi, thanks. Good to see you. How you doing?
Like so many young Western Muslims, Khalil's life is shaped by many forces. His family originally come from Iraq, but he was raised in England before moving to Dublin, where his father is director of the Islamic Centre. After studying at the Dublin Business School, Khalil set up his own contract cleaning service.
Good morning, Joe. How you doing?
Morning.
Hey, how are we getting on?
That's the list of the reports.
Okay.
Khalil sees no conflict between his modern life and Islamic tradition, but where he needs guidance, he still looks to the scholars.
The scholar would be somebody senior who we would go to for information that's not necessarily available in books. There's a lot of touchy subjects, and they have the information basically. They've done the reading, they've done the homework, they've worked very hard, and they understand the religion. Now, scholar to scholar could differ. There's different. I mean, in the time of the Prophet, people differed with the Prophet even.
There's a new kind of scholar in Islam, and Khalil got to meet him on a recent trip to Ireland. Amra Khalid is Islam's first global evangelist, the Muslim Billy Graham. He uses television, text messages, and the internet to win a bigger audience than any Western broadcaster, even Oprah Winfrey.
Do you know the pioneers of high schools in the Arab world? 90% of them girls, not boys. But if I asked you where these girls will be after they finish their college, disappear.